Some of y'all mad at people because you've been trying to live up to their expectation. I mean, you mad at people, huh? Because you've been trying to live up to their expectation, and you cannot live God's vision when you are trying to live up to someone else's. So shake that, like start dealing with that. Let's get to it, right? Romans 12:2 says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. What patterns have shaped you and defined your purpose? What patterns have shaped you and defined your purpose? Welcome. I'm Sybil, your host for Faith Based Optimum Living, where we dive into transformative content on emotional wellness, purpose-driven living, and a meaningful life. We're going to dive into some great content this season, and I cannot wait to share it with you. So today we're actually doing part 3 of a series that we started because our season is talking about vision, and we're talking about, this little series is talking about clearing the fog and all the things that hinder us or stop us from moving forward with the fogs in our lives. Sometimes we can't see clearly, right? And so we're here to talk about that in this episode, and I'm excited to share with you how to move past the blurred lines, how to separate cultural noise from God-given vision. Ooh, it's gonna be good, y'all. It's gonna be really, really good. I don't know if you know this, but sometimes when we're moving in life, we don't always look at our identity, our goals, and the definition of success. I like to talk about that a lot and how it shapes who we are and the story that we tell, right? And we have to make sure that we're clear that our identity, our goals, and our definition of success has been shaped by us and for sure God. And so when we're talking about that and thinking about it, you have to also consider culture. Then you have your family, right? Those who you are blood family with, or those you've also adopted as your family. And then for some of us, we may have church traditions. They can also blur certain sense of our vision. They can actually cause a little bit of blurriness. I know we don't always say that, but it can. So this episode, we really want to separate what's been passed down from what's been revealed, because they're two separate things. Sometimes we are moving in vision that's been passed down and not necessarily that's been revealed from God for your life and how it's supposed to look for you. Let's think about this. What parts of your vision might be inherited rather than inspired? What parts of your vision might have been inherited rather than inspired? And I know it's a big question and you're not going to answer it right away, but you may want to think about it. I know sometimes when we're sitting down and we are like taking inventory of our lives and we're thinking about who we are, there's a lot of really great things that I have learned from my family and our history. And I brought some of that into my adult life. But then also when I was praying or seeking God on certain things, or not seeking God, because sometimes he just tells you things, he revealed to me vision and certain things that he wanted me to do. And I am very guilty of having lived in the blurred spaces because it's God-given. Then you've got other things going on and you can mix those a lot, where it can become where you're like, I'm not sure. And that's what we want to make sure that this is your moment to receive the answers of how to identify if there is blurred lines, and then how you can move past that blurred line to make sure that there's clarity in the vision that you are living and moving in. So let's just talk about what the blurriness is, right? Some of the sources that come in our blurriness, and they're not all bad, right? They're not all bad. Sometimes it's family expectations. Sometimes our family has expectations for our lives, career path that we have, the roles that we play, and sometimes obligations. Some families have major obligations that they placed on you, right? And others may be like, this is your career path. I was the one that was on the career path that was not for me, but it sounded good. And once I got to college, the lines became blurred, y'all. It became so it became so blurred because the vision and the purpose for which I am created started to come, like it just started to come forward. But then I was hearing the voices and the noise and the different things from, this is what I should do. This is what I had started out to do. I don't want this person to be upset with me. I don't want to disappoint this other person. So it became like really blurry for a moment. And so I can understand that. Another source of the blur could be cultural ideas, right? Ideals like you got the hustle. Then you got the person who's got to make sure you do everything right, you know, the perfectionism. Then you have to have the image driven goals, right? So you got to look this part, you got to play this part, you got to fake it till you make it. You have all of these cultural ideas, and they don't always align with the true vision of where your life is and what's supposed to happen. Then there's religious norms, right? The performance, then there's guilt, then there's approval seeking. And when you think about all of those sources, they really affect, and sometimes they can infect areas of our lives that we are not aware of when we are moving in vision. What is the result? You end up living someone else's idea of success. You know, those moments where you're like, I want to make these people proud, or I want to show somebody that I could do it. They didn't think I could do it. You have all these other ideas of why you're doing it, and you're living someone else's idea of success. Has that ever happened where you're like, wait a minute, this is not even what I want to do? People have drastically, listen to me, drastically changed their profession, quit, packed up. You got the doctor that was a heart surgeon deciding he always wanted to be an artist, or she wanted to do this. And these things are real. Why? Because sometimes people have gone to school because of cultural things, family expectations. Everybody in our family is a doctor. Everybody in our family is a scientist. And so they try to line up with those things and ended up in a place of misery. Why? Because they were living someone else's idea of success. You cannot live God's vision when trapped in someone else's expectations. Let me say that again. You cannot live God's vision when you're trapped in someone else's expectations. Woo! Some of y'all mad at people because you've been trying to live up to their expectation. I mean, you mad at people, huh? Because you've been trying to live up to their expectation, and you cannot live God's vision when you are trying to live up to someone else's. So shake that, like start dealing with that. Let's get to it, right? Romans 12:2 says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. What patterns have shaped you and defined your purpose? What patterns have shaped you and defined your purpose? What patterns has shaped you and defined your purpose? Let's jump into it a little bit more. I know it's good. Don't go nowhere. All right. As a matter of fact, if you're still listening or watching, I want you to make sure you share this out. All right. Because somebody else needs to hear it. Let's talk about what's inherited versus what's inspired. What's inherited versus what's inspired. Signs your vision might be inherited, right? And again, this is not negative. It's just that it may not be how God had envisioned for you and the purpose that he had for you when he put you here on earth. So if it's inherited or if it's inspired, let's have some fun. It feels heavy or disconnected. I told y'all I went to school. I thought I was going to be a nurse. I thought I was going to be a nurse. I thought I was going to be a pediatric nurse, as a matter of fact. And when I went to school, it started feeling heavy, and it also started feeling disconnected. I was sitting in some of those classes and I was like, oh no, But then I sat in other classes and I was like, oh, I got so inspired and I got so excited about it, right? So you're seeking external approval. So this is the other thing. If it's inherited, you're seeking external approval. You want the claps and you want the celebration, and people are like, you're going to be the first, you're going to be the first. And the truth is, you didn't want to go to college, right? You just wanted to jump out there and be a full-time entrepreneur. Some of them told you, to go into this career path because it's secure. And again, nothing that they're saying is wrong. They just couldn't see your portion of what vision could look like and how you can actually succeed in that. So they were just giving you an inherited pathway that worked for them, but wouldn't work for you. So it could feel heavy, right? Here's another one. You feel guilt for wanting something different. I know that you're listening, you're watching. You're like, oh my gosh, you hit it. I feel guilty for wanting something different. What do you mean you're going to do that? What do you mean you're not going to have insurance? What do you mean you're not going to do this? How are you going to take care of yourself? Then you just be like, oh, I don't want to tell any, I don't want them, like maybe your parents paid for you and you said you were going to go get your master's. And you're like, I don't want to get my master's. Maybe you're the person who said, this is what I wanted to do in life. And then you're like, but then people are like, I've invested in you and I've given time to you. And then you start feeling guilty. That's how you're able to know if it's inherited, because a lot of times you're doing it for someone else. Here's the signs if it's an inspired vision. Here we go. If it's inspired, there's peace, even in discomfort. That feels good, right? There's peace. Remember, when it's inherited, it can feel heavy and disconnected. But when it's inspired, it can feel peace, even in discomfort, because this is what I'm supposed to do. I know this is who I am, right? Alignment with your natural gifts and your spiritual conviction. There's just this flow. There's just this ease. It just comes right out. It's just happening. And people are wondering, how are you able to do that? And you're just like, I don't know. It's just an alignment with my natural gifts. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is my capacity. This is the way I move in life. And then here's another sign if it's an inspired vision. Evident fruit over time, even without validation. There is fruit after time. Without validation, people still don't believe in you, but there's fruit. You can't deny the fruit, right? And that's how it works. This is what I want you to do. I want you to write down what you've been told your purpose should be, right? Because that's different. And what you now sense God might be saying instead. We could be living so many years of our lives, and I don't want you to do that, where you're just living out what people told you your purpose should be, right? And not necessarily you following what you're hearing God say about it. And so I want you to just take a moment and I want you to write some things down. I want you to think about it and I want you to be honest with yourself. Galatians 1:10 says, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or God? And I want the approval of God all day, every day. Whose approval are you building your life around? That's a big question. And for those of us who are still in the blurred spaces, you're coming out of that and you have to ask yourself, well, wait a minute. I want to have God's approval and not necessarily man's approval, right? And I don't even need their validation. But when we're not sure, we stay in a place too long. How to shift from inherited to inspired. We're about to shift, y'all. You're about to shift. We're about to shift. We're moving out of there. We're about to shift. And when we talk about shift, that has a lot to do with your belief. It has a lot to do with your mindset. It has a lot to do with your growth, right? Where your ability to believe that this is what God's saying to me. And I will also take the initiative to learn and to move into areas that can help me to frame and do, and I can sharpen my skills and become the best of whatever God wants me to. So what is happening when we get into a place where we're like, how to shift? Here's one question you ask. What has God shown me? Go back to what he's shown you. We're talking about vision this whole season and getting rid of the fog, clearing it out. So what has he told you? Don't be afraid to literally say what he's told you and what he's shown you. Not just today, right? Because he gives you a big picture. He really, really does. What has he shown you? And then practice silence and solitude to hear clearly. This is another thing that you could do when you're shifted from inherited to inspired, and release the need to explain. Stop over explaining and stop trying to justify your new direction. When you're over explaining, that means you're still moving in areas where you want validation, you want approval, you might have a little bit of fear of rejection, right? So this is how you're shifting it. You're shifting it by releasing the need to explain. This is well, and do you understand what I'm saying? And, all the other extra sentences and the long paragraphs, you don't need to do that. And you don't need to keep going in that direction. Here's a practical tip. Audit your goals and filter them through your values. We talked about values in the first season. We talked about values in the second season. And so I want you to go back and look at those videos, because what we're talking about is if you're not able to know your own values, then your goals are not aligning. That's going to be a problem, right? So you want to audit your goals and filter them through your values to make sure they are parallel, that they look like you, that this is how my vision is. This is who I am. It's aligning all the way. Set some boundaries with the voices that confuse your clarity. You may have had people that were really close to you, people that you respect, and that's okay. But sometimes you have to set those boundaries where that person may be talking about their own experience and I wouldn't do that, or why would you do it now? You have to set boundaries in a way where you are able to hear what they're saying, but it's not affecting you, or you share only so much because you know that those individuals or whoever it is in your community, that they won't understand where you're going. So set those boundaries so that you're not confused, right? You know that you're going to write a book about A, B, and C. You know that you're going to do a course. You know that you're going to go back to school. You know that you're going to start a job, a different career path, whatever. You know exactly what the vision is that God has given you. Someone else may not get that. And so set your boundaries, honey. Another thing you want to do is surround yourself with people who value vision over validation. Woo! Oh my gosh, I could almost jump up out this chair. If you don't have people around you who value vision over validation, and you're probably saying, what does that mean? That means that that's the person that sees. That's the person that is like, I know, going. Validation is, oh, we're all seeing it. Oh, we're all with you. Go, go, go. Oh, yes, you are the one. No, sometimes validation comes later or never, right? I've walked a path in my life where I didn't get validation. I got a lot of criticism. I got a lot of rejection and questions and voices from people who were like, are you sure? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like the whole facial expression, sometimes they're not saying words, but looking at you like, you lost your mind. And so that's why you have to set the boundaries, and then you have to surround yourself with people who are visionary, right? People who see, people who really get it, not validation, because validation is wrapped up in something else. In Isaiah 55:8-9, it says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. Let's think about this one more time. What part of your vision needs to be reclaimed as your own? Oh my goodness. What part of your vision needs to be reclaimed as your own? Because you've been living somebody else's vision. You've been doing it on their terms, and you haven't claimed your own vision, right? You don't want to get caught in living life and somebody is validating and celebrating you and you're miserable. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the vision where God is like, this is who I created you to be. This is where your skills, your talents, your flow is. Like, there's ease. You want that joy. You want that place, right? It doesn't mean that there's not going to be challenges, but you want that. That's what he wants for you. And so you want to move forward in that and reclaim your own, like, mine, right? That's what you have to do. Vision is sacred. So let's reflect on that. Vision is sacred. And sometimes the most potent breakthrough comes when you realize it. When you start to realize, hey, wait a minute. I don't have to live someone else's dream. I know that was your dream for me. I was 18 when I broke the dream of someone who loved me dearly and cared for me dearly. I broke the dream they had for me, and breaking out of that allowed me to really see vision, and it is sacred, right? So there's something about breaking through and realizing that's not my vision. Like, that's not the dream. That's not what I'm supposed to do. That's not who I am. It's so powerful. And that's what God wants for you. So this week, I want you to listen closely to the whispers of God's vision for your life, right? He may just be saying the same thing over again. He may just be reminding you, hey, you haven't shifted enough. You're still living somebody else's vision. You're still doing what somebody else wants you to do. And I want you to fully embrace and accept and move in what I'm saying. So what's your challenge? Identify one cultural or familial there's a familiar space of expectation you need to release. I want you to identify that. Journal the vision. I'm going to always tell you to journal. Get you a book, get you something. Go online. There's online spaces to journal. Journal the vision you believe God is showing you now. Pray over it and permit yourself to live free. Just live free and be okay that you're going to make mistakes. This is not about perfection at all. All right. We want to clear the fog. That's what this series is about. And we're talking about vision, and you are about to be doing the most. You're going to be, maybe shocking some people by the way you start living your life in a free way, but that's okay. We're not looking for validation. All right. So we've come to this space that I want to say, if this episode helped you to see more clearly, don't keep it to yourself. Come on. Share, subscribe, download this free reclaim worksheet that I have for you. And don't forget to hit that bell, that notification bell, if you're watching, because I want to make sure that you don't miss an episode. I want you to share this out again. I'm going to say that. And if you've just been watching and you haven't been participating, and if you've been listening, leave a review. I want to make sure that we're able to reach more people and that people can receive some of these practical steps and help them to do what God's called them to do. Thank you so much for tuning in to Optimum Living. I'm Sybil Bull, helping you grow, live fully, and unlock the life you were created to live. Until next time, stay grounded, stay grateful, and keep reaching for the life God has shown you. And remember, you are designed to live an optimum life. I'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.